town board. So this is an agenda item that will continue to the date certain, which will be September 20th, we'll have a special town board meeting. There being no additional questions, I'll entertain a motion to continue this matter until September 20th. Moved by Councilman Carey, second by Councilman Nolan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the second public hearing is local law entitled Local Law Amending Chapter 157, Housing Standards, Applicable to Residential Premises, in Chapter 290 Zoning of the Code of the Town of Clarkstown. I entertain a motion to open the hearing. So, moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I ask Mr. Samoa to make a presentation on this.
The proposed local law is to make changes to Chapter 290 and Chapter 157 of the Town Code. This local law will update the definition of family to conform with recent case law. The definition of family, which relates to occupancy of the town's single-family homes, is proposed to be 1, 2, or 3 persons occupying a dwelling, or 4 or more persons occupying a dwelling and living together a traditional family with a functional equivalent of a traditional family. The definition goes on to explain what that functional equivalent of a family is. This, along with the rental registry, which is also proposed for Chapter 157, I believe will help curb over-occupancy of our housing stock and also help with enforcement of our building and fire codes. The proposed local law also deals with age restrictions for senior housing conforming with federal regulations, essentially assuring that the residents of these complexes are 55 and older and do not have children, that is, persons under the age of 18. Our existing definitions and regulations spoke to designing these facilities to serve seniors, and all of our senior complexes developed under the special permit are, in fact, age restricted. But based on concerns raised by the public on Buckley Farms and Shim Farms, we wanted to make it abundantly clear in the definition that these complexes shall be age restricted to seniors only. The town board, by resolution dated June 28th, declared itself lead agency, as it is the only involved agency that can undertake the passage of this proposed legislation, and directed me to prepare the environmental review for this project, or for this proposed local law. It's my opinion that the enactment of the legislation is an unlisted action and will not have its potential to adversely affect the environment. I've provided the town board a short environmental assessment form and a proposed negative declaration. As I mentioned before, this is simply something that will, where we're updating the definitions to conform with recent case law, and it will help with code enforcement. So there's no environmental impact. This local law was also reviewed by the town planning board, and by resolution passed at their meeting of August 3rd, 2016, the planning board recommended passage of the local law as written, stating in part that they find that the amendment is consistent with Chapter 290 and also with our comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, it will clarify code interpretations throughout the town. That's all I have.
Any questions from members of the town board? Okay, any members of the public wishing to speak on this proposed local law? Yes, sir. If you come up and identify yourself for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Gerald Herford. I reside at 9 Fieldstone Court in the city. I'm very much in favor of this law. There's some rumors floating around the town that are probably not true, but the rumors that are floating around is that some of the senior citizen projects, the buildings are requesting a third story, which would increase density by 50%. And there's also some rumors floating around the town that in the contract to build these facilities, there's supposed to be a clause that says if they can't rent to senior citizens, they can rent to whoever they want to rent to. I'm hoping that the rule is someone misinterpreted something, but I just wanted to have that clarified.
John?
the height, there is a limitation of 35 feet on our senior housing development that could lead to a project being 3 stories. It's not an increase in density. The density is still set. So the height is irrespective of the maximum density of these projects. And as for the clause, our legislation is pretty clear. This is age restricted, which is why we're making sure that it's very clear in the definitions. It's age restricted, 55 and older, and that's what it'll be. There are certain federal regulations that are coming to play with that, but that's what it is. It's a senior housing complex.
And just to clarify that as well, you heard from the planner that what we're trying to do here is tighten up the codes that we have in the books, and also make sure that we're enforcing them. And one of the things that we've done this year is add several new code enforcement officers in the Office of Code Compliance, and I see our Deputy Town Attorney, Leslie Kahn, is actually kind of spearheading that from the Town Attorney's Office, where we're really tightening up our enforcement of all of our land use and zoning codes. This is really the legislative equivalent to doing that and ensuring that the over 55, that there's a benefit that anybody's going to get as a builder, as a developer, to be able to apply to the zoning law for an over 55 development. We want to ensure that it's an over 55 development, and it's not misused, that it's not going to end up becoming something that it wasn't intended to be. Frankly, we're not working for any down zoning. I won't stand for that. And we're going to make sure that any of these projects that might get approved in the future or are already approved and have the benefit that they must comply with the law. So we're tightening up our law. That's what this is about tonight.
Thank you. Just one further clarification. The gentleman mentioned that
could you maybe just, I'm sorry, so that everybody can hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for the information, but I want to see one thing to be clarified. The fact that adding another story will not change the density, in other words, it's not less building. Does that mean that somebody could get a 3-story building, which would probably change a lot of the building in the city?
Just to further clarify, this is dealing with senior housing complexes only.
Okay.
So there's a special permit process in order to get that particular development. That 35-foot height limitation is the same height limitation we have for other multifamily. So it's the same as you see in the hamlets. As an example, Eagle Ridge, it's 3 stories, 35 feet. So again, the density is not changing. It's still the same density requirements, whether it's 2 stories or 3 stories. But that's the limit. We have a limit in terms of the height at 35 feet. That depends on the development and how you measure it. That's what it is.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Yes, in the back, sir.
Dan Caprera, New City. If we could just get some clarification on that, you're comparing this to treetops and timberline, saying those are 3 stories high. I know a lot of those condominiums and townhouses that they have garages. Are these going to have garages? Are they going to have elevators, garages? Could we get a little more information on that? Because I don't think it's the same thing. You have a garage and you're kind of as a story.
But Mr. Smollett,
It's not the height, it's not the stories, it's the overall height that we're talking about. We've moved it, it's 35 feet.
But you're saying the density's not changing?
Correct.
But yet it is, because you're comparing it to timberline. You're counting one of those stories. You're drawing comparisons that it's the same, and it's not.
I'm saying
you're saying there's
it's
a garage.
similar.
We're agreeing that the height is the same, but it sounds to me like the density is going to be a little higher.
There is no change to the density.
No, so timberline and these will be the same?
No, that's not what I'm saying. The density,
well,
whether you have a 1-story building.
Joe, can you just clarify, I think he's trying to compare multifamily with over 55. This is for over 55.
Correct.
Compared
whether it's a 1-story building, a 2-story building, or a 3-story building, the densities, the maximum densities in our codes, they don't change. So if you are in a multifamily zone, there are particular densities that are allowed in a multifamily zone. There's a particular density that you're allowed in a senior housing zone. The densities don't change with height. My comparison with Eagle Ridge or Timberline or any of those is to say those are 3 stories right, 35 feet, to give you a picture of what 3 stories or 35 feet would look like. Our code says 35 feet as a maximum. Again, it doesn't change the underlying density that's set in the code. You don't get more or less. I mean, you could spread the development out, you could put it, it's a building footprint that can change, but the overall density is not affected per se.
But again, the true comparable really is over 55 complex to over 55 complex.
Correct.
The cap is 35.
Correct.
Anyone else wishing to speak on that? Yes, straight in back.
Hi, my name is Janet Edwards, and I live in New City. And one of the questions I have is with respect to the density. The current law is zoned, or the AAR, the text of the AAR law allows for bonus density of up to 50%. And so I don't know if this is the correct venue for this discussion, or if we should just take a step back and wait till this application is actually signed off on, because these 55 and over developments, I believe are going under the AAR section 290, which does allow this bonus density. And in connection with that, it's up to 50%. So we're really talking about an increased density. Should this bonus density be awarded? My second point is that the developer has the right to, they have there's a concern about allowing people with lower incomes, which is part of the comprehensive plan, to address the permission for people in Clarkstown to remain in Clarkstown until they've retired. But the section 290 states that in lieu of allowing for affordable apartments, the developer can make a contribution to a special fund which has supposedly been established. And my question is, do we have any idea of how much money would be required to be deposited in the event the developer doesn't allow for affordable units, as opposed to, just making more luxury units?
The two projects that are before the planning board that I mentioned, Buckley Farms and Shim Farms, are not under the active adult resident zoning, as was mentioned. It's under a senior citizen housing permit, special permit of the planning board. So it doesn't allow a density bonus. It requires a 10% set aside for affordable units, and there is no buyout. So that it's a different law. But getting back to what we're talking about really with this local law, the local law here is actually affecting the senior housing special permit. The active adult residence, the definition, already had this restriction on the 55 explicit in the definition. So it's a different thing. Where developments, as I mentioned, that are before the planning board right now, they are under a different provision. It's not active adult residence. It's not bonus or buying or the ability to buy out these units. That's not what these projects are about, or are applying under. It's the special permit that we're talking about.
And anybody else wishing to speak on this matter? So Joe, negative deck?
Yes, I would recommend a negative declaration for secret.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to do all one council. Motion to close the public hearing and issue a negative declaration under secret. Motion by Councilman Moto, seconded by Councilwoman House. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion to adopt the local law. Moved by Carey, seconded by Councilman Nono. All those in favor say aye. The next application is for continuation of an application to Kids Kingdom for a special permit to conduct a child daycare center. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Moved by Councilman Aguilar, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
This is an application for a daycare for Kids Kingdom in Nanuet. Kids Kingdom currently provides programs to children ages 2 to 5 years old and has been operating these programs since 1996. Children will attend for a half day, both in the morning and the afternoon. The only change in use is the amount of hours the children can spend there to accommodate working parents. So currently there are 15 kids that attend the facilities, and anticipated that 25 will attend the full day child daycare program if approved. The town board had directed me to be the agent for the secret review. The project is an unlisted action, and based on the information, this is an expansion of an existing program to a full-day program with no significant modifications to the site or operational characteristics. There really appears to be no potential for adverse environmental impact. As such, I mentioned the board issued a negative declaration, and I prepared the secret documentation to support that. The planning board also reviewed this. They were sent the petition and reviewed it at their August 3rd meeting. They concurred with the findings conditions of the applicant, the findings that are necessary for the special permit. Specifically, the planning board recommended that as a condition of the special permit, the applicant be required to provide crossing guards whenever children cross the parking area to access the outdoor play area, and we've required a map note to that effect on our site plan. So the planning board is asking that the same condition be put as a condition of the special permit. In addition, the planning board is asking for additional speed bumps and signage, and also a sidewalk that would run from the crosswalk down to the playground. That's the application. If there's any questions.
Any questions for any members of the town board? Anybody wishing to speak on this matter in the public? Okay, there being none, I entertain a motion to close and adopt a negative declaration under seeker. Moved by Councilman Nono, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And I entertain a second motion to adopt and pass the resolution allowing for this application to proceed. Moved by Councilman Carey, seconded by Councilman Nono. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Simoes, the final application, which is a continuation of resolution of special findings granted special permit to conduct a child daycare center at Denham Scholastic Academy. This was presented at the last town board meeting. There was one question that was raised by members of the public.
Correct.
Entertain a motion to open this public hearing. Moved by Councilman Hauser, second by Councilwoman Carey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the hearing is open, Mr. Simoes. If you could just provide the clarification.
Sure. The town board meeting on August 9th, there was a concern raised over the potential impacts of this operation on the school district. I sent a letter to the superintendent for the Clarkstown School District. I sent the petition and background information and asked for comments back from the school district, and we received a letter dated August 19th, 2016, stating that given this permit request is for a pre-K day center, the Clarkstown School District would not have any financial obligation to this organization. Secondly, the organization is licensed and would have the ability to compete for existing pre-K funding. However, the number of total slots would not be increased as a result of having additional pre-K daycare residing within the school district boundaries. And lastly, Parents of Clarkstown residents who have children attending this or any daycare would continue to have access to special education services as required by the education law. That was the response we received.
Are there any questions of the members of the town board on this application? Are there any questions from any members of the public or anybody that wishes to speak on this application?
Good evening, everybody. Pete Riley, resident of Concord. I was that person from the last town board meeting that brought this up to the board and to the planner. Just briefly, what caused my concern that night was that on paper it said daycare center, and as soon as the conversation started, the word school kept coming out. It started with the planner, and then it came up with the representative from Benham Daycare, which identified himself as a land use planner, calling it a school. And that was the concern, because being that I've gone to so many school board meetings over the Congress School debacle from a couple of years ago, I did remember that there's a lot of financial obligations once you start calling something a school. And I too called Dr. Martin Cox after this meeting to clarify, and the school issue kicks in where the town has to absorb busing, textbooks, and nurses as soon as the kids, it's a declared kindergarten. That is when it kicks in. That was the information I was trying to obtain that night when I kept saying, why is it called for 6-year-olds when they were in kindergarten and first grade? And there just wasn't a lot of clarity that night. I asked everyone if they had spoken to the school board. No one gave me an answer that any dialogue had occurred with the school board. Basically, I just had a deep concern about fake schools popping up. They pop up in a lot of other areas in Rockland County. And I didn't want one popping up here where we're going to have to absorb busing, textbooks, and nurses. That being said, I also visited Dr. Benham's Academy on Main Street, and it's exactly what she said. It's a fine school, a fine child care center, and there is some school for the kids, but it's 2 classrooms, and there's nothing obtuse going on there. Looks like it's going to be a good program. And if I didn't already have my kids enrolled, I'd probably enroll my little guy, my 4-year-old there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? There being none, I entertain a motion to close and adopt.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Hauser, second by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations to Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move forward with the resolutions, explaining them. It'll take a couple of moments, and then we'll take public comments on any of the resolutions. Resolution number 1 is acceptance of town board minutes of August 9th, 2016, as submitted by the town clerk. Resolution number 2 is scheduling a special meeting of the town board for September 20th, 2016, at 7 p.m. in room 301 upstairs. That's essentially for the continuation of one public hearing for the Hamad for that matter to be heard.
Should we move it to this room? I would assume we will have a large crowd.
We could take a look at that, sure. But I think there was actually
It was a workshop.
Workshop meeting, and there will be probably presentation there, but we can make a determination on that if need be. But the important part is just having the date. Item number 3 is authorizing the supervisor to accept a grant in the amount of $20,000 from the State of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee to participate in the statewide police traffic services program. I want to thank the police department for seeking the grant and for our participation. Lieutenant Morgan was the lead officer of the police department who was down to work on it, so I want to thank them for that. It's always good when we get some money to help us defray costs. Item number 4 is authorizing the supervisor to enter an agreement with LightPath Communications for fiber communications. I'd ask our town controller to give some characterization on this.
Sure. This is a new bidding for basically the infrastructure of the IT programs. Our information service specialist has looked at the proposals and found this to be in line with what we need and at a good price. And this is accepting it for a period not to exceed 3 years at a monthly cost of $9,020.
And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, we have Frontier Communications for this?
That's correct.
And so we're eliminating Frontier Communications and we're saving $43,000 a year, right there? And a 3-year savings of $107,680. Any questions? Okay, resolution number 5, authorizing the following building permit, refunds, I guess, for a building inspector, explain that?
Good evening. The first one was for solar panels. The applicant decided not to do that. We did review the permit, so we offered a partial refund. The second one was an existing addition that was actually built in 1960. We ended up finding an old building permit on the microfiche. We didn't review the permit, so we suggest a full refund on that.
And the cost on that to the town is $198 for the first and $222 for the second?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Right, resolution number 5, granting permission to the Heritage West Nile to dispense alcoholic beverages at the Trap Haven property. Again, that's something that's been granted in prior years, and it's for the fall festival that will be taking place on October 22nd for Wine and Cheese fundraiser. 2016, that's the date. Any questions from members of the board? I'm sorry, that was resolution number 6. Resolution number 7 is the authorization of the installation of street lighting at the following locations, and the cost per location is $14.07 per month, or a total of $168.84 per year. There are 3 locations. These are typically requests from residents, and they've been evaluated by town staff through DEC and also through the highway department. And the 3 locations that are being recommended are between 12 and 16 Oak Road in New City, between 65 and 67 Haverhill Road in New City, and between 59 and 61 Branchville Road in Valley Cottage. Any questions from the members of the board? Afterwards. Thank you. Resolution number 8, A through F, and we ask our town attorney to explain this.
Sure, this is just simple renewals for the Adopt a Spot program, and these are various vendors that have agreed to renew their Adopt a Spot locations, and basically we anticipate town money will be saved in the implementation of this volunteer program. So again, these are just simple renewals for the Adopt a Spot program.
Any questions from members of the board? Resolution number 9, this is a change in policy within the town. Any request for overnight travel will be placed on the town board agenda for the town board to approve. And we have several that are up for this evening. I'd ask our town controller to just kind of go through each one of these.
Yes, the first one is for attendees at the Excelsior Challenge, September 13th to 16th, regarding New York Homeland Security training. 3 police officers with a not to exceed of $600. Second one is for police department to attend the Advanced Tactical Explosive Breacher course, November 28th to December 2nd. With cost not to exceed $6,400. Item C was withdrawn. Item D is for authorization for a police officer to attend New York Highway Safety Annual Fall Symposium, October 16th to 19th, with a cost not to exceed $300. Item E is for a principal purchasing clerk to attend a conference on New World, which is our accounting and purchasing system. They're doing an upgrade this year, and she's going to attend for additional training for a cost not to exceed $2,600. And finally, the annual conference for, in this case, Judge Gerber, to attend the New York State Magistrates Annual Conference, September 25th to 28th, with a cost not to exceed $900.
Any questions for any members of the town board on this? Okay, thank you. Item number 10 is referring and setting a public hearing on proposed local law amending chapter 290 zoning of the town code of the town of Clarkstown with respect to table 12, general law regulations. Yes, Mr. Simoes, our town attorney, to explain this.
This one here is simply an adjustment in the bulk zoning table for the R40 zoning district. You will recall that earlier in the year, the board, we looked at non-residential uses in residential zone districts. So this is really a correction of the bulk table with respect to the percentages in the R40 zone. These are percentages we look back at when we look at the law, the draft. It should have been these numbers. Should have been 7.5% in column 12 with respect to FAR, and under column 13, 15%. So this is just correcting that portion of the law that was adopted again back in March.
Any questions from members of the town board on that? Okay, we'll move on to item number 11, authorizing the following settlements of tax surcharge matters: A, for Torso Commercial Corp., B, for Dream Construction Corp., and C, for Vernia Dales. And I'd ask, I guess, our controller, town attorney, to explain this one.
In terms of the cost involved on the tax certs, is always the school district, the county, and the town involved. On the Torso tax certiorari, the cost to Clarkstown is $1,314.25. On the Dream Construction Corp. tax cert, the cost to Clarkstown is $6,766.37. And on the tax cert on Vernia Dales, cost to the town is $1,527.15.
And just, controller, just want to clarify that for Lemonade Torso Construction, that you just read the first year. The total cost for the town of Torso Construction is $5,965.66. So it's a 3-year settlement?
That's correct, I missed that, I apologize.
Yeah, these are A through C are multi-year settlements. That's why.
And the Dream Construction is actually the total cost for the 3 years inclusive is $6,766.33. And for Vernia Dales, it's the total cost of the town is $6,207.90. Okay? The multi-year assessment, correction that. Okay. So, Mr. Miller?
On the training, I'm all for it. If I get maybe a sheet from the PD on what each of the seminars are, it's more for interest than anything else, but you know, it's great, yeah. Like you said, I'm for it.
All right, the first one, it's basically tactical training. Our tactical team, 3 officers to attend. It is free training. It's up at the State Preparedness Center in Riskin, New York. The only cost really is the per diem that each officer is entitled to go to that training. Second is advanced tactical explosive breacher, which is progression in training also for our tactical team to make explosive entries. It's actually dealing with explosives. So the training, the registration costs are expensive, and the travel on this one's expensive, but it's very important. It's the next level that are these 2 officers, and they're the only 2 that are trained for the department. The highway safety annual fall symposium. It's just the annual conference given by the state. Again, this one is paid for entirely through the Rockland County Stop DWI office. Only costs here are going to be the per diem costs the officers entitled to. And those are the ones that relate to the police department.
Are they, the per diem costs are actually, we're paying for overnight accommodations for this, right?
The first for the ones for the Excelsior Challenge, no. That's, no, you know what, I believe the hotel is, that one has the hotel charges, the lodging charges in that one, but not for deep highway traffic symposium.
Thank you. Okay, item number 12, following personnel changes, 8 B, go through them one by one. The appointment of Alexander Walker as a part-time clerk in Recreation and Parks at $19.81 per hour. Appointment number 2 is Catherine Cerrone, part-time secretary of Zoning Board of Appeals at an annual salary of $10,000 per year. The full-time employee who had retired is being replaced with part-time salary of an existing employee, so it will be a considerable savings to the town. Item C is the sick leave of absence for, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the part-time bus driver over at the Matrans, but it's sick leave of absence. Item D is the Family Medical Leave Act of Joan Gibbs, Principal Clerk from this Records Division. And item E is a reclassification for the Computer Installation Assistant to Information Services Specialist 1, abolishing the old title in our data processing, and then appointing Sean Jordan, who is currently in the position as Information Services Specialist 1, provisional, and it will result in a $16,758 increase. Again, this was a reclassification that had come through from the county for this position, and Mr. Jordan will have to sit for a test at some point to be made permanent. Any questions from members of the town board on any of those personnel items? Then we'll move on to item number 13, authorize the amending of the budget. If our town controller can explain that.
First item is recognizing the receipt of funds from Do More Inc. in the amount of $1,551. In order to utilize those funds, we record the revenue to general gifts and donations and appropriate that same money for expense account, auxiliary police clothing and uniforms. Then we have a series of about 8 budget adjustments within departments. The department heads are towards the end of the year, so they're adjusting within lines in their budget. First one for $332.99, decreasing town council cell phones and increasing town council clothing and uniforms by $332. Second one, we're decreasing town garage part-time appropriation by $7,660, and also decreasing town garage overtime by $20,000, and then increasing by that total of $27,660 in the town garage auto maintenance supplies, and we'll have enough on hand to keep repairing our vehicles.
Just can you clarify the first one? I know we're taking the money out because none of the members, correct me if I'm wrong, none of the members of the town council have cell phones. But why are we putting in a line that, and I don't believe any of the council members have phone or uniform allowance?
That would indicate that it was charged to that account, and there's no budget for it. So this is covering that charge.
And when was that charge made?
Would have just been in the last month or so, most likely.
And this,
I could
if you would,
yeah,
I'd like
absolutely.
to see that. Now, again, that would also cover other folks that are within that department. But, and I understand it's moving money from one line to another, but I'm just be curious on that.
Did you order t-shirts and sweaters or something?
There were, but I was under the impression that that was coming from the supervisor's budget for the town council. All right, go ahead.
Okay. To come to town garage. Decreasing by $611, expense account for the auxiliary police in-service training, and increasing by the same $611, auxiliary police miscellaneous supplies, some housekeeping within auxiliary police. Next one, decreasing expenses for the police department conference in schools, and increase in emergency operations conference in schools by $1,239. Decreasing swimming facilities part-time employees by $30,000, and increasing swimming facilities chemicals to maintain the pools and have enough chemicals on hand. Decreasing swimming facilities publicity by $1,729, and increasing swimming facilities by maintenance supplies. Similar reason.
Can I ask a question about the swimming facilities?
Mm-hmm.
The part-time employees, assuming that's lifeguards, right?
my understanding is that
Let me answer that. Absolutely not. The reason that there was an issue is when we've been at Lake Nanuet, according to Joanne Peterson, and unfortunately she's not here, she's out this evening, was because, as you're well aware, in prior years, we closed pools earlier. In 2015, Congress pool was closed early. Again, because we have a lot of lifeguards in college, and colleges go back early. And that was the issue. And one of the things that we're going to be doing and looking at in the budget is budgeting for an increase because our lifeguards are paid fairly above minimum wage. And we need to pay our lifeguards more so that we can secure more lifeguards. And I think we need to do a better job. And Joanne's replacement will be expected to do a better job in recruiting and maintaining lifeguards at the pools so that we can not only make sure that the pools stay open to Labor Day, but frankly, the plans to look at opening pools earlier, actually starting at least having one pool open starting on Memorial Day weekend and covering an extra month. So we're looking to budget for that next year. The reason was primarily what we've always experienced, that we have college students that go back starting around the 20th of August, and therefore there's a precipitous drop in lifeguards. And in prior years, we've typically closed at least one of the pools early and shifted lifeguards over.
Decreasing sewer operations, other equipment, and increasing sewer operations, water, at $3,500 because, quite frankly, the water expenses have gone over the budget. They're pretty much in line with last year, however. And finally, the decrease in expense account for highway machinery, miscellaneous equipment, and increase in highway machinery building repairs by $500 to cover the cost in the budget.
Any additional questions on any of those budget numbers? Okay, then authorizing the following payments. A, Peter Beer, consultant to the building department, while facilitating the building department budget, effective and retroactive to July 20th. It was $94 per hour. And Kathy Conklin, 1.5 hours consulting fee, which was required for tax certiorari clarification, and she was paid $92.56. We use it just to clean up final invoices from the two. I want to thank both Mr. Beery and Ms. Conklin, who assisted during the transition. They're both now retired, but shortly after Mr. Beery's retired, he agreed to stay on for several weeks to help our new building inspector put together the budget. And this is just to conclude his time in the town. And as I said, Ms. Conklin was asked to come in to assist with some matters on the tax certiorari, and she submitted an invoice, which is reflected here tonight for an hour and a half of the time. Any questions from members of the board on those two items? Resolution number 15 and 16, I'll ask our town attorney to cover these two items.
So with respect to number 15, restatement, this resolution number 15 expands the scope of the investigation and authority of Special Prosecutor Bill Harrigan. The expansion of the investigation is necessitated by certain recent events, which are deeply troubling. Last week, the town filed counterclaims against Chief Sullivan and Sergeant Colhatcher in a lawsuit commenced by Chief Sullivan and Sergeant Colhatcher against the town. The counterclaims allege, among other things, that Colhatcher, Chief Sullivan, and others had engaged in illegal and inappropriate profiling, as well as other improper and illegal activities, while Colhatcher served as Director of the Special Intelligence Unit. In addition to that claim, which was in response to a lawsuit commenced by the Chief of Police in an attempt to prevent a disciplinary case against him from proceeding, disciplinary charges were prepared against Sergeant Colhatcher. Because of the pendency of this litigation and the need to preserve the integrity of departmental records and property, Sergeant Colhatcher's town-issued computer was placed into evidence by the police department on Thursday, September 1st. On Saturday, September 3rd, the supervisor was advised by Acting Chief Band that an internal affairs investigation was being commenced and Colhatcher had been suspended, after it was learned that he had removed the hard drive from his computer and subsequently returned it to the department. On Sunday, September 4th, without notice, Sergeant Colhatcher submitted his resignation to the town board. In light of the pendency of this litigation, as well as a lawsuit filed by Colhatcher against the town, removing the hard drive from his computer suggests that material contained on it may have been deleted. The very act of removing the hard drive leads to numerous possibilities which must be investigated. The timing of this sudden resignation also suggests the possibility of cover-up or improper illegal activities which need to be investigated. The supervisor of the town board continued and to believe that we have one of the finest police departments anywhere. We will not, however, stand by and allow the improper and possibly illegal actions of a small number of individuals to compromise the integrity or reputation of this department. That relates to item number 15. And number 16, with respect to that, is accepting the resignation of Cole Hatcher, which we received today.
Any questions from members of the town board?
I do have number 15. What is the date on this? I believe, and I don't know why I was reading Facebook, but I was. But a resident who I think happens to be in the audience tonight pointed out that originally Harrington was not involved in the Cole Hatcher case. So are you looking to pass this resolution as it, for back work or just starting today?
No, this is because you have two questions right now. This originally, the special prosecutor was brought in with respect to the Chief Sullivan disciplinary. But however, this now involved into another matter with respect to Cole Hatcher, and these are being treated as combined cases. So with respect to the incident that happened with the hard drive, again, this we believe is pertinent to the underlying investigation with respect to the Chief disciplinary, and that is why he's being asked to expand the scope of what he was brought on to do, which was prosecute that particular disciplinary.
So, and just another question. I know we have the last town board meeting, there was an hourly rate assigned to pay with outside counsel. Is there going to be separate accounting in place for those related to the chief and those related to Cole Hatcher, or is it going to be viewed as one?
That's something that we discussed, but the hourly rate's going to be the same. It's going to be
No, I know the hourly rate's going to be the same. I'm asking, is it going to be looked at as one investigation? I don't know what the right
Well,
word
the
is.
disciplinary will be
Two
separate.
things.
The disciplinary will be separate. To the extent that litigation is involved and it's in federal court, to the extent that that is covered by insurance, again, that will be dealt by insurance counsel. But with respect to Harrington, he's being hired with respect to the investigation of the underlying disciplinary.
Oh, okay.
So that will be billed separately.
Yeah.
And counsel, you can also just confirm that Mr. Harrington has referred information that he's developed over the first couple of weeks to the U.S. Attorney's Office? That's correct? Good, thank you. Any questions from the other members of the board? Okay, so at this point, I'm happy to take questions or comments on any of the resolutions that have been discussed from any members of the public. And for those that are not regular attendees of the town board, we typically take all comments, write them down, and then we'll answer them in total at the end.
Okay, Sandra Spiegel, News 50, and this is just on the resolutions. I'll talk afterwards. All right, I want to talk about the traffic lights that you are installing, the 3 of them. There are 3 other places that definitely need traffic lights. One on New Hempstead Road and Colonial Drive and Patricia Drive. That's a very bad area. Jones Drive and Little Tor Road. And the last one is Concord and Main Street. I find that you put a traffic light by where Stop and Shop is, when you had a traffic light like right next to it. That's totally a waste and unnecessary, when Concord Drive could have had.
And then just to clarify, these are not traffic lights, these are street lights.
Street lights, whatever. Stop and go, whatever. Okay.
Traffic lights cost about $100,000 and street lights cost about $500,000.
Well, they definitely need the, wait a second. Okay, so these are just the lighting.
Street lights.
Okay, well, you do need traffic lights at those areas. It's very important, and there shouldn't have been a traffic light by Stop and Shop when there was one right there, and all you had to do is go around. That was a total waste of our money. You need to do it by Concord and Main, which is a very bad area. So those are 3 areas that need traffic lights. Okay, and my other issue with the resolution regards the police budget. I think that the town board should not be involved in the way they do training or anything else. They give you the budget, They tell you what's needed, why it's there, but you don't have any right to say that they can't have training for X, Y, and Z. Let the police who know how to do it, what they should be training on. And that's it, and I'll talk afterwards on that.
Anyone else who can speak on any of the resolution items? Yes, thank you.
Number 12A and B.
Stand up for yourself, so we have to.
March up from the city. 12A and B. I know there's a savings, but are these two people new employees? And if so, who are they friends with? And number E, Sean Jordan. It's a $16,758 increase. What is he going from and to? Number 13, part-time swimming facilities, $30,000 for personnel. That's an increase. Number 15, I thought he was hired as the prosecutor. Now we get him into the investigation. He's getting $300 an hour, according to last month's agenda, plus $100 an hour for a paralegal, which I find is a very high hourly rate for a paralegal. No, it's not. And number 16, I think it's a disgrace what you've done with this man, and the blame lies on you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Frank Randall, New City. On item 7, on these streetlights, maybe you need to remind me. I thought I heard last month we're taking over this lighting district, and that the lights that were, 1 or 2 lights that were being installed, these mercury vapor lights last month, were going to be the last of these lights to be installed. And here I see 3 more of these sodium vapor lights, which are going to be replaced with LEDs. So why are we spending the money? Why do we have a moratorium on lights right now until we install these LEDs instead of wasting this money on installing these? And this lighting district, maybe you can explain to me too. Are we installing the lights, or is O&R going to be?
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on any of the resolution items? Okay, there being none, we'll address the questions or comments. Maybe our town planner could talk about the rationale for streetlights and how they typically are done. They're pretty much done through the planning process for the most part. The street light on the shop right, I would imagine, was referred to Stop and Shop. I think that was the question that was raised.
Specifically dealing with the light at Stop and Shop, because that was a comment on that traffic light. That was actually paid for, installed by Stop and Shop. And how that worked was the town helped money to have a study done. Stop and Shop paid for that study. And what was found is that within a certain period of time in the future, a traffic light would be needed in that location. Stop and Shop offered to put in a traffic light now, but they would not put it into the future. They wouldn't have the town holding money into the future. So we opted to have the light put in now at no expense to the town, rather than potentially need a light in the future and then have the town pay for it. So that's why that light was installed. Typically, traffic lights are investigated or looked at by our traffic department. So as developments come in to the planning board, we have, we require traffic studies. But if there's a particular roadway where there's no project occurring, where there's a need for a traffic study, it's not something that the planning department typically reviews. Again, it's really when it's in relation to a site plan or development that's going to occur in the area, then we have the analysis and we have the developer pay for all or part of the new traffic signal. In terms of traffic lights, that's a different, the lighting, that's a different thing.
Okay. And as it relates to the street lights, and I guess I can answer both Mr. Grandel's comment and Ms. Steele's comment here, as it relates to that, yes, we're in the process of, and we anticipate within, hopefully this month, purchasing our overhead street lights. And at the prior town board meeting, we actually authorized the moving forward with an agreement with the New York Power Authority, and we believe that, and also financing through the New York Power Authority. So we're frankly recommend the bond of $2.1 or $2.2 million to retrofit all of our street lights and put it on our books. The Power Authority will actually finance it at 0.6%. We got great bond ratings, but it's at least triple. Bond rates, it's at least triple what the Power Authority can do. So we're actually going to be saving about $500,000, $450,000 to $500,000 once all the streetlights are retrofitted. The Power Authority will have the ability to be able to do a turnkey operation for us as it relates to that. So again, when we have these streetlights that are coming and authorized to be done, the reason we're moving forward with these, even though we're moving forward with acquiring the lighting district and purchasing it from Orange and Rockland, we're establishing what the count is. It's unlikely that some of these lights will actually be put in place before the LEDs are approved, but we're establishing what the count will actually be for the purchase of the street lights. And again, we're moving forward with that. It's in the hands of the town attorney, finalizing with Orange and Rockland within the next several weeks, hopefully, to be able to have a closing where we actually own the street lights. When we do own the street lights, the good news for the taxpayers is that the town of Clarkstown is considered under a different tariff rate as a municipality than Orange and Rockland. So the moment that we purchase the street lights, we'll save $40,000 per month in the charges that will be incurred for the electricity for those lights. So it'll be a very significant savings just on that. And then when we retrofit those lights to LEDs, the Power Authority should be able to do this rather quickly. We believe a year or less to be able to do the entire project. There'll be an additional $450,000 in savings per year. So we're projecting almost $1 million in savings by the purchase and the retrofitting of our streetlights. And by adding these streetlights onto the inventory, those will be lights that will be upgraded. The reason that these areas are designated is that a resident will have made a recommendation or a request to the towns that will have been evaluated by town staff, and then it would be determined that for safety issues or for whatever the reason might be, that these are appropriate places to add streetlights. So that's why we're moving forward with approving these. It's highly unlikely that these lights will be installed before the LEDs are actually put in place.
Can I just make one more comment on that? On the lights?
It's really not a dialogue, so.
Well, I was told when I asked about street lights on New Valley Road, for example, that the residents had to make the decision, and if the residents didn't vote, then you couldn't make that decision. That's why I made the misinterpretation of traffic lights versus that. So did all the residents vote and agree that they wanted street lights there?
These would only have been recommended had they gone through the process with our town staff, talking with the residents in the area. Thank you for your comment. And we'll move on to Ms. Hook. You had several comments or questions on 12A, B, and E. I don't know the first individual. That's a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation staff. It was a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation staff, and it's a part-time clerk, which is a vacant position within the Parks and Recreation staff. Catherine Strong, I happen to know. She's been working in the town planning department for how many years has she been? She's been there at least 3 or 4 years, and again, I think you'll agree, I think this is something that has been discussed at prior meetings. This is a full-time position where the individual retired This is Jackie Van Bauer. She was making almost $90,000 a year, and she's being replaced with a part-time $10,000 a year position. So not only are we saving benefits, but we're saving the lion's share of her $90,000 a year salary by having this part-time position. And she's the other thing that we're doing, frankly, and people should also understand this, is that we've streamlined the process for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And we've actually are placing the Zoning Board of Appeals into the planning office. I believe that we have the finest planning department in Rockland County, and I think that has been borne out throughout the years. And I believe that by putting the ZBA under the auspices of the town planner, it will streamline the process. The other things we've done is we've made some changes within the how the ZBA will hear matters, and I believe that you'll find some greater efficiencies that will also come from that as well. So it's a significant savings for that position. Item E, this was a reclassification that came down from the county. I believe Mr. Jordan was making about $61,000 a year, and this will be an increase of $16,758. But he qualified for the reclassification that was determined through Rockland County, and he'll have to sit for a test. So it's not a new position, but it is an increase, and it's based on civil service law and our contract, and it allowed him to be reclassified from the House. In item number 16, I referred to the comments of the town attorney, and I just want to reiterate what the town attorney offered, that I was notified by Captain Mann of the suspension of the individual in question about a day and a half after his hard drive was turned in. And so the captains of their own court made a determination. I think that's very clear from the statement that the town attorney offered. And we'll just leave it at that. I do want to offer that, I think that, again, we have one of the finest police departments in the nation. And the activities and actions or allegations regarding one or two individuals should not be seen by folks in the public as at all disabusing people of the notion that we have an exceptional police department. And I look forward to continuing working with our police department as we move forward. And I would encourage everybody within the public to reserve judgment until these matters conclude. So with that, I'm happy to... Number 13. Tom, can you speak to that again? The $30,000. It was a move out from the lifeguards because we have vacancies.
So I think Marge had a question about whether there was an increase in the amount for the part-time with lifeguards, part-time swimming facilities. If that was an increase, right? I think you might have already answered.
It's actually a decrease, right?
It's a decrease to the part-time employment line and increase to chemicals.
It was a decrease of $30,000 in the lifeguards, part-time. Again, because I think there were vacant positions at the end of the summer, and it's shifting the $30,000 over to chemicals. Again, Jamon's pool was renewed or redone, so I guess the additional cost for chemicals for the season. That being said, I think that addresses all the comments. We'll move forward with the resolution. Resolution number 1, accepting the town board minutes of August 9th, as submitted by the town clerk. So moved by Councilman Morelli, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Resolution number 2, scheduling a special meeting of the town board for September 30th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councilman Noah, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Resolution number 3, authorizing the supervisor to accept a grant in the amount of $20,000 for the state of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee to participate in the statewide police traffic services program. Moved by Councilman Noah, seconded by Councilman Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 4, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Life Path with Fiber Communications. Moved by Councilman Hausner, seconded by Councilwoman Carey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 5, authorizing the following building permit funds A and B. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Hausner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 6, granting permission to the Eric of West Nile to dispense alcohol beverages at the Chapaka property. Moved by Councilman Hausner, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 7, authorizing the installation of street lighting at the following locations, cluster location 14 and 07 per month. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 8, authorizing the supervisor to enter into the following adopted squad renewal agreements A through F. Moved by Councilman Carey, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye. Resolution number 9, authorizing expenses for the following conferences. A, B, C is withdrawn, D, E, and F. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 10, referring to setting a public hearing on a proposed local law entitled the Local Law Amending Chapter 290 Zoning of the Town Code of the Town of Clarkstown with respect to Table 12 General Vote Regulations for October 25th, 2016. Moved by Councilman Hausner, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye. Item number 11, authorizing the following settlements of tax certiorari matters A, B, and C. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye. Item number 12, authorizing the following personnel changes A, B, C, D, and E.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Borelli, seconded by Councilman Noto. All those in favor say
Aye.
Item number 13, authorizing the amending of the town budget. Moved by Councilman Carey, seconded by Councilman Noto. All those in favor say aye. Item number 14, authorizing the following payments, A and B. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 15, authorizing William Harrington to expand the scope of his investigation into the circumstances leading to the suspension by the police department of Sergeant Stephen Colhatcher. Moved by Councilman Noto, seconded by Councilman Borelli. All those in favor say aye.
No, I'd like to just explain.
Sure.
We saw this resolution just as we came down tonight, and perhaps if I had seen it in advance, I might have a different view. I know the circumstances were quick. I just feel like if there is investigation, then I know things were already sent to the U.S. Attorney's Office or other law enforcement entities. This is part of their job, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate for the town board to be investigating a former, which will, I think, in 1 minute become a former employee. So I'm just concerned with this, how this is kind of unfolding.
Thank you. Item number 16. Item number 16, accepting the resignation of Stephen Colhatcher, moved by Councilman Borelli, seconded by Councilman Carey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That concludes the resolutions. At this
Thank you for taking additional comments. I'm a little confused about the answer that I was given with respect to the zoning of the Shell Farms and Buckley Farms. The land is currently zoned as R15, and I believe the only way to get things rezoned is through the AA or procedure. So perhaps that can be explained to me.
Sure. Anyone else wishing to speak? Right here.
Okay, Sandra Spiegel, New City. I have to tell you that I am disgusted with the way this town board has been operating. You are acting like a witch hunt with the Clarkstown Police Department. It's disgusting the way you said that you cannot give any information, yet you're giving out the information about Sergeant Colhatcher, but you have not discussed anything as to what you've done with Mike Sullivan, in addition to the fact that you've given out snippets of emails, such as the one that Colhatcher sent to Mike Sullivan regarding Lou Falco, but you make no reference to the memo, the original memo, or anything else that happened afterwards. So you just give parts of it, like little tease, to make people think that there's really something going on when basically there isn't, okay? You know, I was disgusted the way you ran your campaign. You said that your daddy taught you all right. Well, you know, I know people who live in West Nyack because I ended up going to South. And I'm not going to reference what Chief Kilduff said, but, you know, you have another brother, code enforcer. No.
No. This is not a time for ad hominem personal attacks. And if you must know.
Wait a minute. You brought up Eileen. You had no right to bring Eileen Sullivan into any of this regarding this guy. What the right does, there's no bearing on it. Okay? So you use your platform to say that your daddy taught you right. How did he teach you right?
How do you investigate somebody after you charge them?
Right.
This is completely inappropriate.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not. I didn't bring up about your other brother. No, I'm asking you. You ran your campaign based on how your daddy posted.
If you must know, Ms. Eagle, Chief Kilduff retracted his comments and sent a personal letter to me apologizing because he realized it was completely inappropriate. Exactly what you're doing.
Okay, the point is, I'm not saying anything. It's what happened. Extortion is extortion. Okay? And you ran it saying your daddy raised you right. Well, apparently, from what I've heard from people from West Nyack, including a past supervisor's children, you guys were bullies, and that's what you're doing now. You're bullying the police department. And you're bullying, bringing in the chief's wife. You have no right to do any of that. Okay? You are really, this town board is a disgrace. 100% a disgrace.
You investigate people after you charge them?
I'll, and just a point of personal privilege, I will contact Chief Kilduff in the morning, and I will ask his permission to release his letter of apology.
Okay. Has Mr. Harrington advised you and the town board as to the cost of this litigation? And do you regret starting this fight and jeopardizing your future campaign election, as well as the other board members?
One and done.
Anyone else who can speak?
Patty Clemens from Nanuet. I just got a little confused with something that was said tonight. I just hope you can clear it up. At one point you said that you were combining Steve Colhatcher and Chief Sullivan's investigation. And then on the second point you said that you were charging them money-wise separately. So if it's the same, but it's different, why? It was just kind of not making any sense to me. So which is it?
Okay. Anyone else?
It has nothing to do with the other.
Mary Simon, Bardonia. I was raised in West Nyack, and I raised my children in Bardonia. I'm outraged at this town board and you, Mr. Holman, for taking this Chief Sullivan, who has a 32-year perfect career, who has worked his way up through the ranks, admired and respected by not only former administrators, but by his staff and by most of the Clarkstown residents, as well as many county residents. Everyone who knows I live in Clarkstown can't believe. I'm embarrassed as to what's going on here. The amount of money
And you have nothing to show for it.
you came in, my tax dollars, and all I see is what you talk about. This is saving money, that's saving money. The money that's being spent on this witch hunt is far beyond what you're saving, and far beyond what I want to pay for my taxes come January. it's horrific, and I want to give my support to Chief Sullivan, to Acting Chief Captain Mann Captain, okay, and the rest of the Clarkstown Police Department. And I say, you guys stay strong, because they will try to tear you down.
Good evening, Supervisor Holden, Town Board, residents of the town of Clarkstown. My name is Ray Lachette. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Clarkstown, and I'm also the president of the best police department in the country, the Clarkstown Police Department. First of all, let me state unequivocally that the Clarkstown Police PBA does not condone racial profiling. These allegations pertain to one person, and Special Prosecutor Harrington has irresponsibly leaked partial facts before an investigation has been completed. District Attorney of Rockland County, Thomas Zugaby, stated, in quotes, "The Strategic Investigations Unit performed no electronic surveillance, did not racially discriminate, or violate anyone's constitutional rights." Based on this, Harrington's accusations are premature at best. In today's political environment, William Harrington's cavalier behavior jeopardizes the safety of both law enforcement and the public. We do not understand Harrington's motivation to leak partial facts of an internal investigation. Before it is complete, nor do we understand why he would risk public safety to do so. The Clarkstown Police Department is currently investigating this matter, and we ask that you let them do their job and investigate it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name is Peggy Whaley. I'm from Congress, New York. I'm sitting here once again, and I'm agreeing with the public of Clarkstown. All we hear is dollar signs once again being spent through our money. When we compare taxes, who can stay in Clarkstown at this point? Second thing is, Clarkstown Police Department is the finest, but let me think about it. You got rid of the chief of police right now, he's on suspension. You got rid of the head of the Special Intelligence Unit. Who's next? So how are we going to maintain the perfect police department? We got great people in place right now. But if you keep going one by one, because you're on a witch hunt, what is the Clarkstown people supposed to do? We are tired. Put Clarkstown Police Department Chief Michael Sullivan back in place. Stop going after his family. You are asking for a form. When was the last time that form was filled out? He went after his family, and that's ridiculous. He went after his wife. Did you really look into it? And people are saying, you have to start from point A to get to point Z. It's like baking a cake. You need all the ingredients. Somehow, the Clarkstown people are not getting all the ingredients. You are not telling the truth. And talking about Cole Hatcher, what I'm hearing is some speculation. You don't have facts that you're giving to us. We hear a lot of things. And so we're backing Chief Sullivan. Put him back. Put Clarkstown Police Department back in order. Thank you. You wrote an open letter to the legislators, and part of it was
I was elected by the people of Clarkstown to rid our community of corruption and provide relief to the overburdened taxpayers of my town. This is not your town, this is our town. Now let's talk incompetence versus insubordination versus corruption versus money. Chief Sullivan's been accused of illegal surveillance. Isn't part of police work surveillance? Even the DA has said it's all lies. However, you had someone monitoring the Clarkstown Police Department computers for months. Isn't that illegal?
Don't shake your head.
At the Republican committee meeting the other night where I was, someone compared you as a civilian to Chief Bratton, who is a civilian, and I believe his name is O'Neill that's coming in to replace Bratton. They both have police backgrounds. You do not. Chief Sullivan probably wouldn't have put someone on a town board who tipped off drug dealers in the past that their phones were being tapped. When I spoke to you about this, you said that's ancient history. Is this incompetence or arrogance? You say Chief Sullivan is incompetent. However, he's had one job, law enforcement, for 33 years. How many jobs have you had and been fired from? You were a priest, camp venture, and added house comes to name a few. Incompetence. Speaking of incompetence, you didn't know, or maybe you didn't care, a board that didn't even meet in 2016 between January and June were paid a full stipend totaling almost $14,000. Did you ignore this because they're your friends? I'd like to see a check going back to the Clarkstown reimbursing us as taxpayers from all of these people that took those checks, knowing they were not entitled to them. The head of one board missed 4 meetings between January and June and paid them $12,000. She seems to be always absent in the summer, year after year. How convenient. I want to see a check coming back to that. You released information to a blogger who is not a journalist. Who is he being paid by, and how incompetent is that? Chief Sullivan's wife works for a trophy company that Clarkstown's been doing business with for 20 years. Why is it now a problem? You sat on the board for 8 years and didn't bring it up.
30 seconds.
However, a councilman that works for the town as a councilman just works for CLG, an insurance company that just was awarded a contract with Clarkstown for insurance on the Mini-Trans bus at $139,995. Isn't that a conflict? As was Chief Sullivan's wife accused of, a conflict? But that's okay because it's business as usual. You say Chief Sullivan never filed an ethics form. Did you or any of the other board members ever ask him to do that? And do you as councilmen have to file an ethics form? I'd love to see them. Why are you taking pictures with a cop who was fired from Clarkstown and is now suing the town? That's really bad judgment. And this is not the only time you've been seen in public with this cop. Are we as Clarkstown taxpayers just supposed to accept this corruption? Not all of us are fools. November is coming. And the head of the county Republican Party should stay out of the Clarkstown business. Your actions reflect someone who is incompetent and has total disregard for right and wrong. You get a failing grade, and in the words of Donald Trump, Mr. Supervisor, you're fired. Anyone else?
Right here.
They don't have that.
Richard Senna from Bardonia. I put a FOIL request in, it's number 252, what the written procedures are for hiring town attorneys. And the response that I got back was that the town has no record regarding the above request. So I'm assuming that there is no vetting process in hiring town attorneys. And I'm just requesting that the town should begin to look at that and
come up with some type of procedure. One of the conflicts that I see is that when you have a town attorney who also has a private practice in the town or the surrounding vicinity, where does the loyalty of that attorney go? Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Chris Kiernan, President, Rockland County PBA. I would just like to speak on the recent media attention that has been unnecessarily placed on this Clarkstown Police Department. First, the leaking of an internal email that is supposedly a part of an internal investigation by Special Prosecutor Harrington. This leaking of that email is transparent and an obvious parlor trick, just to advance his public relations push against the police department. Was this leak authorized by the town board? Secondly, and most importantly, is the issue of Special Prosecutor Harrington appearing on TV and accusing the intel unit of the Clarkstown Police Department of racially profiling specific groups. An accusation that is instantly interpreted by the public as the whole police department. You cannot segregate one unit and say it doesn't affect the rest of the department, the rest of the men and women in the Clarkstown Police Department. This accusation is unequivocally false. This accusation is equally deplorable. This accusation is equally disgusting. This accusation is equally despicable, and most of all, this accusation is equally dangerous. To place the lives of men and women that wear a police uniform within this town, within this county, state, or country, that have a hard enough job as is, that have children and family that love them, to take them and place them in danger by fanning the flames of racial divide just to win the public relations push on a litigated case is completely reckless. It is truly shameful. Thankfully, the fact is that you actually have a gold standard police department here, okay? This department does not participate in illegal and unethical policing such as that. Thankfully, you had a chief of police who worked very, very hard to build community relations, to which he did. You had an individual here last month stand up and proclaim that very loudly and very clearly. Those that live here know that this accusation is utter nonsense and see right through it. That, again, parlor trick for a public relations push was truly shameful and dangerous.
New City. According to the Rockland County Board of Elections website, on November 3rd, 2015, 9,253 residents voted in favor of a ward system of government for the town, thereby breaking Clarkstown into 4 separate wards. The referendum passed, voted by the people. On June 7th, 2016, the supervisor, along with council members Borelli, Noto, and Carey, voted to pass resolution number 244-2016, changing the ward referendum as voted on by the residents. 3 months later, I would like to know if anything has transpired regarding this resolution. Are there any public workshops scheduled? Thank you.
There being none, really there were a lot of different comments. I think our town planner and town attorney can just clarify the Buckley Farms comments, and most of the other comments I'm going to defer to the town attorney
What?
as they relate to matters of litigation. So Mr. Simone, can you clarify the comment on Buckley Farms?
Both Buckley Farms and Shim Farms are zoned R15 and R22, and they are in zones that allow for a special permit, an application to the planning board for a special permit. They have to meet certain criteria in terms of acreage and access to certain roadways, but they are allowed to apply to the planning board for a special permit for senior housing. It is not an application for active adult residents. That's a different provision of the code. That's a floating zone. So I'm more than happy to speak to the resident. I could give more information. I'll give my card to her and we can go over it, but it's two different things. So the two developments, again, for a special permit of the planning board is a different set of criteria and legislation that's required for that special permit.
Yeah, and I think, thank you, Mr. Simone. So he'll talk to you afterwards and give his contact information. I think everything else the town attorney can opine on, but just Ms. Hook to clarify, you raised an issue about the board. The members of that board, the Fire Board of Appeals, I think that board has been around for a lengthy period of time. They meet as needed. I think my staff did indicate to you that we would look at changing that to paying per meeting, but this has been the policy of the town for a number of years. I do believe that the meeting later this year, and I think all the members of that board are actually fire chiefs in the town. Again, we're looking at an additional change. So I just want to reiterate and clarify. We've made significant changes to the boards and commissions. We've cut over $60,000 from the boards and commissions, and we're looking at the remainder of the boards and commissions. And as it relates to Fire Board of Appeals, yes, we're going to look to see next year to change the policy as it relates to that.
What have you made for that?
Again, it's my time. You had your time. Thank you. Again, we treat each other with, you may not agree, but it's fundamental to show due respect to the speaker. I'll give respect to you, you give respect to me, to allow me an opportunity to respond. Just the fact that you're here in opposition to obviously something that's a bit controversial is great. It doesn't give people the opportunity or the right to come out in public and act in a public meeting in a way in which they wouldn't do in a movie theater or anywhere else. This is democracy in action. Let the process play out, and I'll give due respect to all speakers, whether you agree with them or not. My time and the town attorney's time to be able to, and town board members to address any of the comments that we can address. Mr. Senna, I'm going to respond to your comment. I think your FOIL request was related to the hiring of, if I remember from the last meeting when you raised it, former Deputy Town Attorney Keith Cornell. I can't speak for the process that was put in place under the prior administration. I can just tell you that we have many fewer town attorneys, and they're full-time here, working here full-time. I can tell you that because I see them, and they'll tell you that they're frequently meetings with me or with other town departments representing us. We have 3 full-time town attorneys. We'll have to look at, the process going forward for hires in the future. When I'll ask our town attorney to kind of look at that, and we can discuss that in the future. But I really can't speak to what took place in the prior administration and what vetting process was out there for any of these town attorneys that previously worked with the town. Beyond that, the ward question, I do anticipate that we're likely to set a workshop meeting within the next 30 days to start to get some public input and public comment On that, so we'll have some further information on that going forward, to start that process. And beyond that, I'll ask the county attorney if there's anything that, we can comment on the other end.
Well, basically, my comments would be no comment, other than my statement tonight with respect to item number 15. There are lots of moving parts here, there's several litigations, disciplinary. So again, during the pendency of those cases, I'm not going to comment or advise the board to comment on any of that. The process will play out, and hopefully it will. And when it does, it does. But for right now, again, I hear the comments, but again, because of what's outstanding, I'm not going to comment.
So, I have a question that I don't think is related to the lawsuit, it's more of a monetary question. But Chris Kiernan brought up the special prosecutor Harrington was on TV, and I'm just curious if that TV appearance was approved ahead of time, and if that was a cost to the town, him being on TV.
When I see a bill like this, I'll know the answer. I haven't seen a bill yet. I'll be back at that time.
Any additional comments from anybody? There being none, a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilman Morelli, second by Councilman Dodd. All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.